What's up? Welcome, Steeler Nation. And anybody else who might be listening, because we know the non-Steeler crowd comes and checks us out. But what's happening, Steeler Nation? Hope everybody's doing great tonight. Hope you all are well. Welcome to the latest episode of Terrible Towel Tuesday. I am your host, SimFBallCritic, live and presented to you by the Steel Basement. And it's time to get into this topic. Now, a couple things I want to say really quick. Let me do my hellos first, and then I'll give you the skinny. But tonight's show is going to be a little bit different in the sense that there won't be any phone calls. And there probably won't be any phone calls until maybe the first Tuesday after week 1. I will explain. And I will explain why there are no phone calls tonight. And I really just have one topic. You know, I had intended on talking about a couple of other things, but actually it's not as important anymore because some things have happened. So we're just going to talk about the roster moves and, how we feel about the 53-man roster. But first, let me say hello to the early commenters. And then, like I said, I'll get into it, give you guys a little bit of outline of how tonight's show is going to go. Jared Devil, Dietrich Bundick, G-Stack434, Luis D, what's up, Luis? Joshua Shields, Stone and Confused, the news. My man Antoine Hill is in the building. Hello, the real Missy. Hello, Miss Lady. Thank you for coming through and hanging out with us. And right below you, another one of our wonderful ladies of the chat, Lanisha. Hello, Lanisha. How you doing tonight? Thank you for coming through like always. We appreciate both of you. Why Diggy's in the building. What's up, Diggy? Jordan Mid. Father-in-law Leonard in the building. Walter Worthy. Tim Johnson. Still Matic. Who else we got up in here? Lyle McCombs. Damian King. He says, what up, Sim? Cali Steelers in the house. What's good from Cali, man? You out there kicking it with Kenyon. Who else? My man Rel Fax in the building. What's good, man? Who else? Mr. Covington Sr., how you doing tonight, sir? Appreciate you coming through as well. And how's Pat Jr. doing? Jack Bauer, Vista Light, M. Forever 96. He says, yeah. Still Slim, what's good with you? Brian Wilson. And I guess we'll end it right there. I'll end it right there. So, guys, tonight, I don't know if you can see it in my eyes, but man, I know it's my problems and I'm always projecting it on you guys, but I like to be honest and keep it real with y'all. Man, I had the worst day today. As you guys would know, I do commute from where I live in Pennsylvania to Washington, D.C. Twice a week. I work from home 3 days a week. And because I'm such a good Samaritan, technically I'm on the books for only coming 1 day, but since the rest of my team goes twice a week and I am a manager, one of the head honchos, if you will, then I'm a team player and I go 2 days as well. However, y'all already know that. But what happened today was I happened to wake up in the middle of the night last night. It was about 1:45. And my sleep just wasn't right. And I get up at 5:30. So I started the day tired. Coffee didn't do anything. The day didn't do anything. I leave for work to come home. And of course, as you know, today it would be traffic because it was raining. So my commute was extended. Super tired. Not even gonna lie to y'all. So what I said I was gonna do tonight is really just focus on the roster. I'm not opening it up for phone calls, man, because honestly, I can't. And I just don't want the show to go super long tonight, man, because I don't have the energy. I'm going to be real with y'all. I'm keeping it a buck. I don't have the energy to do it, but I always have the energy to talk to you guys. So whenever I can, even if I'm tired and struggling, I'm going to give you some type of content. So that's why I don't have the phone lines open tonight. And like I said, the reason why you may not have phone calls 2 weeks in a row is because next week, I think it would be appropriate to have a still table. So I know my good brother Kenyon is down for that. Hopefully Tony can make it. And we're going to have a still table, man, and we'll give our expectations, predictions, or what have you for, high level season, but also on, on the more immediate, we'll talk about the upcoming game, what we think might happen in Cincinnati. And then, of course, that week I'll be introducing the pregame show as well. So there you have it. But bear with me tonight, guys. I hope you guys understand and appreciate that. So let's get into it. So, guys, first thing we're going to talk about tonight are the cuts. We're going to talk about the cuts. Then I'm going to talk about who's actually on the initial 53. And then I'm really just going to give some light thoughts. And then I'm throwing it to the chat. And we'll kick it with you guys in the chat for a little while. And then that'll wrap the show. I did have a couple notes, though. I rewatched the game. And like I said, I had other points that I wanted to make about the game. But I don't think it matters as much now, man, with the roster kind of being shaken up a little bit. Before I get into that, let's give a round of applause to my good brother, Luis D. Luis, appreciate the donation, man. You know I appreciate that. He says, another great move by King Khan. I like that, King Khan. And we're surprised with McFarland and Buddy getting cut. Buddy did get outplayed by Robinson. Yeah, I'm gonna talk about it a little bit. I'm definitely gonna talk about it a little bit. And you guys see who I have in the thumbnail. If you didn't see it, take a peek at it now, or perhaps just go back and my thumbnail always points into a direction where I'm going, and I might owe somebody an apology. So we'll get to it. But yeah, I like that King Khan. Amir Khan is not playing. Omar Khan is not playing games, and I actually like it. So let's get back to the script really quick, man. I said I wanted to, I was going to give some more of my notes from the game, but like I said, man, some of it doesn't matter as much now because we've made a move in certain areas. One of them being offensive line. But I did have a couple things, man, I wanted to talk about just briefly. And I kind of scrapped the notes because I was like, okay, I'm not going to do the whole rundown of the game, man. I'll save that for the real season. And you guys who are members of the channel, the all 22 footage will be coming your way as well as, as a private, I guess you would say, I don't want to say luxury content, but exclusive content to you all. Didn't have it in preseason, so I apologize for that. But there was a couple of notes I had. Second play of the game. This is something to keep an eye on. Second play of the game, it was the first run by the Detroit Lions. Man, the D-line got blown off the ball. Blown completely off the ball. I mean, it was bad. They got pushed back a few yards. However, Cam and Ogunjobi were double teamed. So clearly you saw what the scheme was from the Lions, to take those guys out of the picture. And as well as Rashid. Like I said, some of this stuff doesn't matter anymore. But Hamilcar Rashid dipped inside and he gave up. I mean, the left edge was wide open. Luckily, we have a stud on the defense named TJ Watt who was chasing down the backside, makes the tackle. And most people probably would go back and look at the game and don't think anything of that play because TJ made the tackle, and you probably would say, great defense. It was. But as a whole, it was great blocking by the Detroit Lions, so maybe other teams would pay attention to the double teaming those two guys who are really the force in the run game would be Cam and Larry O, and see if they could beat TJ to the edge, even though he's coming backside. Because Hamilcar Rashid, just gave it up. He goes inside, and it's wide open if TJ doesn't make that play. So I only bring that up just to say that's stuff that we need to keep an eye on, guys, in this season when we talk about whether or not our run defense, will be up to snuff, will be legit. It's things like that you got to pay attention to. Pay attention when we start watching these games, man. Is the defensive line getting any penetration? Are they getting pushed back? Are they able to keep the linebackers clean? All of those type of things. And like I said, thankfully we have a stud in TJ Watt who was able to shut that down, and the play probably was barely noticeable to most people with the naked eye. Also, man, I just want to talk about Dan Moore. The first Steelers series, again, I talked a little bit about this after the game, but just rewatching it just sticks out a little more. Man, he got destroyed on that third down, man, on that first drive. When Trubisky steps back to try to make something happen. 3rd and long, destroyed. I mean, he gets completely destroyed, pushed all the way back into Trubisky, and then the guy who was rushing at that time. I don't remember which one it was. I don't know if it was. Can't remember now if it was Hutchinson or Harris, but either way, they just destroyed him. Completely destroyed him, and I mean, it was bad. And like I said, we already see that maybe Omar Khan is trying to do something about it because they addressed the offensive tackle position today. Now, whether you think it was a good move or not, I don't know. I don't really know these guys like that, but we'll talk about it in a moment. But clearly, Dan Moore is just not making a good go of it, man. I want to talk about Miles Jack, man, and the time that he was in the game. Still does a great job getting under blocks, and attacking the gaps. That's the stuff we need Devin Bush to do or whoever else is out there. Miles Jack is going to be special. I said it last week. I might have even said it on the post-game show. Miles Jack and Larry Ogunjobi will be names that you'll be calling this year. They're going to help this defense. Another thing I noticed, expect to see Minkah Fitzpatrick blitz a little more perhaps this season. In this game, in the first quarter, actually. Minkah, actually it was the start of the second quarter where he got the sack, but he had already blitzed 2 times. That early in the game. Keep an eye on that. And on this particular play where he got the sack, I don't know if you guys remember that, it was a man blitz. Back in the day how we used to always run zone blitz, with Dick LeBeau? This was a man blitz situation where they sent Minkah and Miles Jack. Austin trying to get cute out there with the defense. And now they had your boy Spillane was out there chasing the guy in man coverage, which I don't prefer that. I actually would prefer it be Miles Jack if we're going to leave one of the inside backers on an island, if you will, in a man situation. I'd rather it be Miles Jack and blitz the other guy. Maybe this is where a guy like Mark Robinson comes in. Now, I know you don't want to tip your hand to the offensive coordinator, but maybe this is a time when you bring him in and let him blitz. Or blitz Spillane. Now, maybe Spillane doesn't get home, but I'm just saying, if it's going to be a linebacker that's in single coverage like that in man, I would rather it be Miles Jack. So, again, just wanted to throw that out there for you guys. Certain things that you can look for, man, during the season. Keep an eye on how much we're actually blitzing Minkah and doing man blitz as opposed to zone blitzing. Mitch Trubisky's got to hit that slant route. I talked about that after the game, man. I re-looked at it again. Definitely behind on that. He could have fit that in and it would have been a touchdown. But overall, I think Mitch Trubisky played a great game. I think both him and Kenny Pickett showed outstanding moments of ball placement. Kenny was making some outstanding throws as well. It may not have been, illuminated as much as Mitch, but Kenny Pickett, guys, I'm going to say it right now, early observation, small sample size. Kenny Pickett might be a fairly decent quarterback, guys. He's looking like he has the potential to be that because he's making throws on the run and he's using great placement. You know what I mean? So I'm definitely a little excited by what we might have in Kenny Pickett, and I'm still on the fence of allowing him to sit and continue to grow and play when he has to play as opposed to rushing him out there. Only, again, because Trubisky right now hasn't played horrible. Trubisky has played well enough, in my opinion, where you could win some games with him. We'll see. Regular season is totally different. But what I'm saying is I still feel as of today we're not in a state where we have to force Kenny Pickett on the field. That's just my opinion. Yeah, a couple of other things, man, that I wanted to discuss. But as far as the game, but like I said, it don't matter because most of the people that I had on my chart, they got cut. So it's not going to matter. I didn't have any real issues with any of the starters. I think the defense played a very solid game. One thing I did want to point out, and you guys may or may not agree with me. After rewatching the game, guys, and I'm only talking about the first unit, the offensive line had their struggles, right? But they weren't a complete mess every play. There was times where they gave a little bit of time. There were times when Trubisky had time in the pocket. There were a couple plays here and there. One of which that the longest run of the night by Najee. Great block by Mason Cole. So it was hit or miss. It was more so Dan Moore. Like, Dan Moore was really the problem child. Every now and then there was a couple moments where I thought James Daniels could have been a little better. But as a whole, as I rewatched it, I was like, okay, still not great, but there were moments where you could see, okay, so they can hold up. They can allow a little bit of time. So I don't know. They looked better to me. Again, the bar was set extremely low. I get it. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say they had a better showing than they did in the Jacksonville game, if you guys understand what I'm saying. Wasn't as bad as the Jags game. So maybe things are starting to get a little bit better. I don't know. We'll see. And Kendrick Green, poor Kendrick Green. Things didn't look up for him. Oh, my goodness. My goodness. But like I said, as of today, right now, it looks like Chooks and Mason Cole are the best two offensive linemen today. James Daniels played a little better, but again, I'm expecting him to look way better than he's looked with the money that we've paid him. So we'll see. We'll see. Shout outs to C. Antoine Hill for the donation. Round of applause. I don't know about that. I don't know if Kenny Pickett will ever be an MVP level QB. It's way too early. Way too early for me to, to give that type of assessment. I mean, think about it. Was Ben Roethlisberger ever an MVP level QB by the league standards? So I say that to say he doesn't necessarily have to be that, but if he could be at some point in the future, if he can have, again, this is a hard comparison, but if we can at least feel that he's consistent the way we felt for the most part of Ben Roethlisberger's career, we'll be in good shape. Of course, there was times on the down years as Ben's career started to trend more downward that he wasn't as consistent. But I'm just talking about the times when Ben was Ben. I think Kenny Pickett might be able to give us that as far as Kenny is playing good, consistent football. From what he's showing, I mean, guys, there's a long way to go. I'm not going to try to speculate if he's going to be great or not. But from what we've seen in game action, do you guys feel better about the pick now? That's the question. Do you feel better about the pick after seeing him play in stadium, seeing him in a 2-minute drill? That is the real question. We got 2 donations here, man. Still Ali and my man Y Diggy. Round of applause to both of you guys. Still Ali says, hated that Tyler Vaughn got cut. Yeah, I'm with you. Y Diggy says, Duke Merriweather brought up a good point. He says, the line has had 3 coaches in the last 3 years with different techniques, so maybe we should be more patient. You know what, man? I don't disagree with that at all because, again, y'all know I always say there's a fine line between, well, not a fine line, but there's a clear difference between coaching ability, what coaches do, what they teach versus the players' ability and skill. I think there is some merit to that they've had 3 different coaches with different techniques, especially the way what we're hearing about what Pat Meyer's technique is. But there are key things to me that you can see in a player, right? Kendrick Green he don't seem to be able to grasp. He's just not good against power. He's just not, right? So I think situations like that are more clear cut, because you can see that, in my opinion, already Mason Cole has played a better center than Kendrick Green did the entire year last year. So we have upgraded there. How much to be determined, but You understand what I'm saying? But I think there is some merit to that. 3 different techniques, and it may take some time. And the reason why I wanted to point out that I thought they played better than they did in the Jags game and the Lions game, again, I'm not saying they balled out. We all know that. But I wanted to point that out on purpose because I do think sometimes, again, fans fall into the highlight watching, right? Where they expect the offensive line to block everybody, every play, don't give up any yards, give the quarterback 6 seconds to pass the ball, average 10 yards a carry on the run game. I think that's what people really think. Because again, if you go back and look at the successful plays from the other night, you will see there was moments where, they gave him time on that play. They gave him time to throw that deep shot. They gave him time to step up in the pocket. So, again, by no means am I saying the offensive line made me comfortable against the Lions. What I am saying is, from my eye test, they played better than they did in the Jags game, but they still need work. And I'm cool with that. And obviously the coaches felt the same way because look what they did. They traded for a tackle. So to me, it looks like they are attempting to address the position that has looked the worst this entire preseason, which has been Dan Moore Jr. at left tackle. So, but yeah, let's get into the roster, man. Round of applause to Luis D, another donation. He says, do you agree with the receivers we kept? It's tricky because this is why it's an initial 53-man roster. It will be interesting to see if all of those guys remain. But let's get to it. Let's get to the cuts. And I see my man, Mr. Winningham, in here tonight. I know you are an avid caller. I don't know if you were on early, Mr. Winningham. I explained to everyone, tonight I won't have calls, man. Show was kind of shorter than night, man, just because I had the worst day possible. And y'all know I'm always open and honest with you guys. And I just don't want the show to be so long. So I'm going to go through the roster and I'll get some of you guys' opinions about the roster. And then that'll pretty much be the show. But definitely wanted to let you know that, Mr. Winningham, because like I said, a lot of times you do call when you're on. So in case you didn't know, I wanted to make sure you were aware of that. Let's take a look. So what we have here, actually I can hold on, guys. Just thought about something. I could actually put this on screen. Yeah, give me a second. I can put us on screen. Give me a quick second. Try to get a little fancier. Yeah, well, y'all really wouldn't be able to see it because the way I'm sitting in the. Yeah, well, maybe hold on, guys. We'll go try something really quick. Just real quick, because I do plan to offer some different presentation this coming year. Here we go. All right, so let me cut this down to size. Give me a second, guys. Give me a second. All right, here we go. I'm gonna put it up there. There we go. Now we're looking fancy. All right, so here we are. And shout outs to Steelers Depot, man, for doing an excellent job. They had a tracker. They literally had a tracker here where they were showing, in real time who was getting cut and things like that. So let's start from the bottom and then we'll get the final cuts. This is a surprising one here, man. Elijah Riley. I was surprised. I told Kenyon and Tony earlier that I thought he wouldn't get cut because he had a decent showing against the Lions and KZ was hurt. But obviously, they must feel comfortable in the fact that KZ will more than likely go to IR designated to return. So maybe that's the reason why they didn't keep another safety. And we got to remember Trey Norwood. So I was more thinking that they would keep Riley, thinking maybe KZ would have been a more serious injury. So in one hand, it's good. I'm happy about it. because that sounds like Casey will be back at some point. So, yeah, I guess I understand why that happened. It just was a little shocking, when I saw it earlier this morning. So then you have cornerback Carlins Plattel, wave injured. Justin Lane. The Justin Lane experience is over. As of today, Lyndon Stevens, cornerback Chris Steele, linebacker, middle linebacker, inside backer, Buddy Johnson. The Buddy Johnson experience is over. Wow. What do they say, guys? The NFL means not for long. You remember he was just recently drafted? In the 7th round or whatever round it was we got him, and now, as of today, he has been cut. Edge, Hamilcar Rashed. Edge, James Valters. Edge, Delonte Scott. Edge, Rondell Carter. D tackles. The brothers. Khalil Davis, Carlos Davis. D lineman, Donovan Jeter. D lineman, my man, Henry Mondo. Man, kind of sad to see a guy like Mondo go, man, only because I liked his passion, man. The guy probably wasn't the most talented in the world, man, but he made some plays here and there, and I root for those type of guys. I don't know if he's eligible or not, but maybe Mondo will be able to circle back to the practice squad. But, again, it's kind of sad to see guys like that who, like I said, they might not be beasts at what they do, but they work hard. And the reason why I say you feel sad is because, man, listen, this is the reason why I'm always advocating for players to get their money. This league ain't for long for everybody. It's not long for everybody. So it could be maybe a guy like Mondo's last shot. So you could be looking at the possibility of him never playing professional football again as far as the NFL. So when it's guys like that who are fringe type of guys, I do feel bad for them, when they don't make it. John Lagoon, that's surprising. That's a guard, a swing guard. I think he can play both sides. It's surprising. The reason why that's surprising is because Kendrick Green hasn't played well. So now it's like, okay, who else do you really have there? We'll get to it. Hold on, guys. I think we got a donation. No, we got a new something. What did we get there? I can't see it. Hold on. I'll put this thing behind the alert. That was a new something. So whatever that was, I missed it. My bad. But thank you. Let's continue moving. Ryan McCullum, OC. Okay. Offensive tackle. Adrian Ely. Just recently picked up later on in training camp. He's gone. Offensive tackle Joe Hay. Little surprising as well. However, they brought another tackle in. So, okay, maybe not so surprising. Offensive lineman Chaz Green. Offensive guard William Dunkel. That's that big boy that they brought in later on in training camp. Tight end Jay Sternberger. Wide receiver Tyler Snead. Wide receiver Tyler Vaughns. Yeah, man. I hate to see Vaughns go, man. Hopefully Vaughns can circle back to the practice squad. Again, you guys heard me say this after one of those games. I like his demeanor. I liked his personality. He was I'm going to get yak yards type of guy. You didn't really see him go down on the first contact, so I am going to hate to see that. Wide receiver Cody White, man. I kind of like Cody White a little bit too. Remember last year I talked about maybe him being a guy that you might be able to find some success with at some point. But again, wide receiver group is deep. So, maybe some of these guys circle back on the practice squad. I don't know. Kevin Rader, tight end, not too surprising. Anthony McFarland. Wow. Man, that's heartbreaking. Only because of we never got to see what we thought Anthony McFarland could be. Never got a chance to see it. Never got a chance to see it, man, whether it was injury or whether he just didn't get, I don't know. It just never materialized. And I thought he did some decent things in training camp in terms of kick return, in preseason. But, Warren outplayed him, clearly. And we're going to get to Warren in a moment. And then this guy, Max Borghi, running back, gone. Inside linebacker Marcus Allen. Marcus Allen, time has come and gone, folks. So that experiment, serviced us well in terms of special teams. Didn't materialize as a safety. If you guys remember, that's what he played at Penn State. We converted him to an inside linebacker. Did a couple things there, but nothing to write home about. And this is where he ends up at this point. Offensive tackle Trent Scott. And then we already know about Justin Lane, but it look like they haven't broken up here as far as final cuts. So we already know about Haig, Lane, and McFarland. So those are your cuts. So now let's get into, and let's see if this is showing up correctly. It is not. So hold on, guys. Give me a second. Let's see if I can fix it. Give me 2 seconds. We got a donation there. Snoopy McQueen, give me a second. I'm going to give you your round of applause and all. Let me see if I can fix us up here. Hold on. So this thing displays the way I want it to display. I'm just doing a window capture, guys. That's why it's showing like that. Let me close this up. Boom. All right. Here we go. All right. So let's take a look at the Rasta. Let's take a look at the 53, the initial 53. But first, before we get into a round of applause to Snoopy McQueen, appreciate the donation. Snoopy McQueen says, this 2022 Steelers roster the best in years. Do you guys agree with that assessment? Is this the best roster that we've had in years? So as you guys are thinking about that, let me read you the roster. All right. Quarterbacks. We already know. Mason Rudolph, Kenny Pickett, Mitch Trubisky. Running backs. Well, I'm going to do running backs last because that's going to... Well, no, I'll do it now because Jaylen Warren is my main point of emphasis tonight. That's why I have him in the thumbnail. So let's read that off. Running backs, Najee Harris, Benny Snell Jr., Jaylen Warren, and Derek Watt coming in at fullback. Let me take time right now and focus my attention on Jaylen Warren. Wow. That's all I can say. You guys remember when this whole process began and we got these UDFAs and I started talking about guys to look out for and who I was going to pay attention to and who I was going to watch. I first talked about Anthony McFarland because obviously you guys know why I wanted McFarland to work. I definitely wanted the lightning and thunder type situation with him and Najee Harris. We then signed undrafted free agent Mateo Durant. And I was even more excited, like, oh, okay, this is another guy that's more of the change of pace type. I didn't pay Jaylen Warren any mind. Some of you guys would remember that. Y'all remember when I said, you know what, I'm not really going to scout him too much because that's not the type guy I would prefer based on us already having Najee and Benny Snell. Y'all remember that? Think back to when I said that as I recognize Snoopy McQueen for another donation. Round of applause. Thank you. Thank you, Snoopy McQueen. He says, well, I don't want to assume that it could be female. Let's just say Snoopy says, the reason is because they added help today. Yeah. I'm not mad at you. I'm just curious to know if everyone else agrees how they feel about the roster. Hey, Miss Debbie, I saw your name there, so, I had to take time to say hello to Debbie. So make sure you guys say hello to Debbie, Lanisha, the real Missy, all of the ladies in the chat. Make sure y'all take time out and specifically say hello to our lovely ladies. Yeah, man, so, Jaylen, I owe you, I definitely owe you an apology there, sir. I didn't even get into your tape, really. I looked at a little bit of your highlights, but I felt like he was more of the Benny Snell mold. So I just didn't pay much attention to you. But you came in, you balled out. You made us all talk about you the entire preseason. Okay? You showed your toughness. Mike Tomlin talked about you in training camp, saying that, even the little things like your conditioning. Alex Kozor was reporting that this guy was getting reps. And then in this last game, what did I say after the show? I said after the game on the post-game show, I said, hey, man, did y'all notice who the second running back was to get snaps? Yeah. It was Jaylen Warren. Anthony McFarland was the fourth running back, I think. I think it was McFarland, then Snell, or Snell, then McFarland. But either way, Jaylen Warren was the second one to spell. The second running back to spell Najee, and that told me something right there. Round of applause to Steeler Lee. Another donation, man. Y'all are too kind. Thank you so much. Yeah, this is a fair point. This is a fair point. He says, I like the moves, but still highly concerned over the line with they banged up Najee. Yeah, man, listen, it's gonna be a bumpy ride, man. I think I saw Kenyon say earlier, it takes time with offensive lines. This ain't Madden. He's right. Yeah. It's unfortunate because none of us want to go through it, but you know what I mean? All right, let's continue, man. Oh, well, real quick, one more thing. Jaylen Warren, again, you have earned your spot. I don't think any of us at Steeler Nation, based off of what you showed on tape and where you're going to pretty much be, either 2 or 3 as far as the depth chart and rotation, I don't think any of us can be upset about that. Another thing that he does pretty well, from what I saw in preseason, pass pro. And maybe that helped give him the edge as well, because we're going to need it. Benny Snell can do some pass pro also. So maybe with the line not being so great, Najee's good with pass pro. So maybe that's a factor. Look, man, this year with the line, working their way to improve, we're going to need help wherever we can get it in terms of protection. So it could have been something like that. But, I don't want to downplay his play. He surprised us all. Some of you guys may have known more about him. I'm just saying, I told you guys, it's never about being right or wrong. I'm on this show, I sit here and I give my opinion. So, if you were one of the people who was on Jaylen Warren from the beginning, shout outs to you. I'm not going to take that no kind of way. So it's always about what's best for the team, and I share my opinion just like you share yours, and that's it. And once we have whoever's on the team, we root for those people. So shout outs to Jaylen Warren. You balled hard, you worked hard, and now I hope you go out there and you play hard. So shout outs to you. All right, let's keep it moving, man. I'm going to keep the most curious position for last, because that's going to be kind of how I sum up the show, and then I'll come into the chat for a little bit. Let's go to, well, hold on. We got a donation. Oh, man. My brother Tony. Brother-in-law Tony, man. You ain't got to do that, but I definitely appreciate you. Just like everyone else, man. Thank you, brother. Round of applause to Tony. And Snoopy McQueen, you take some of that applause too, because another donation came in from you. But Tony says, hopefully my boy the Busser can develop in coverage. Those O-line moves was telling. Also, tell Kenyon another Notre Dame player made the team. Yo, so Tony is a heavy Notre Dame fan. Kenyon is a USC fan, so y'all can already know how that goes. Most of y'all probably know. If y'all follow the chat enough, y'all would know that. So they always go back and forth for bragging rights. Appreciate it, Tony. Snoopy McQueen says, Mel. He says he's Mel. Okay. Listen, I don't assume. But welcome. Thank you for commenting. He says they got added help at linebacker and offensive line. Best roster. Yeah, I don't disagree with you. And, honestly, Snoopy McQueen, to go into your point there, man, that Omar Khan, man, I mean, he's doing some stuff that we didn't see Kevin Colbert do. And that ain't a shot to Kevin Colbert. And Kevin Colbert we trust. We all know that. Kevin Colbert did a great job in his tenure. But let me tell you something about Omar Khan. This is a side note. Omar Khan knows the pressure that's on him. He watched for the most part, he was there while Kevin Colbert and him together, because he's the numbers guy, were building teams and won championships. You think Omar Khan doesn't want to get another championship? You think he's not going to do some things a little different and bust his gun a little faster to try to make some moves? That's what excites me about Omar Khan, and we're seeing it already. To be determined if it's going to really, come into fruition. I'm just saying, let's carefully watch Omar Khan over his tenure as the GM, because he's definitely making moves and not shy about it. And again, Kevin Colbert did a couple trades here and there as well, but I'm saying Omar Khan, in this little bit of time that he's been GM, you've seen the effectiveness of going out and getting it. I'm doing this, I'm paying this guy, doing that, making this trade. So I'm loving that. Really loving that. Let's keep it moving. Like I said, I'm going to keep the more interesting position for last. Let's skip down to tight ends. Zach Gentry, Connor Hayward, Pat Fryermuth. I don't think it's a surprise at all there. Offensive line, y'all's boy, Kendrick Green. JC Hassenauer. And I think JC, he can play guard too, but I know he's a backup center, but I think he has some guard capability. So maybe that's what that is right there. Mason Cole, Dan Moore Jr., Kevin Dotson, Chukwuma Okorafor, James Daniels, and Jesse Davis. I don't know much about Jesse Davis, guys. I don't know much about him. I know he, I don't know about him. I'm gonna be honest. A lot of these players, I genuinely, as well as you guys do, most of us generally know most of the players in the league because we watch football. But I don't know enough to say if this guy's good, bad, or indifferent. I don't know. I'm just hoping that he is decent, because it sounds like to me that Dan Moore could potentially be in trouble of his spot. Actually, let me take a look at this. I'll look at it on my phone. Give me a second, because I want to know. I don't want to move the window capture there. I don't know if this guy's he a left tackle or right tackle. Let me see. Got another donation. I'm going to get you in just a second. Jesse Davis, NFL. What position does he play? Oh, number 70. Okay, yeah, I remember seeing him for the Vikings. And boy, were they doing a job on us this past season in the run game. I'm sure he was a part of that. But what I'm trying to remember, what I don't know, is he a left tackle or right tackle? Somebody says right tackle. Okay, so that makes it a little more interesting, because personally, I told you, my opinion, Chooks has been the best, one of the best linemen in preseason, him and Mason Cole. I don't think you need to do anything different at right tackle, unless, remember there was some speculation before one of these years, might have been last year, that they were thinking about putting Chooks or potentially moving him to left tackle, because if you remember, Chooks was a left tackle in college, if I'm not mistaken. So it makes you wonder, are they trying to get Dan Moore out of the lineup? Is that a possibility? That's the first question. Second question would be, if that is the case, who's playing left tackle? Is it Chooks, or are they going to expect Davis to do it? Great question. Round of applause to Sport 8. Appreciate the donation. Oh man, you guys, I like what Walter Worthy said there. I'm gonna speak on your comment in a moment. Sport 8 says, do you think with the O-line being what it is, terrible, like Charles Barkley would say, is going to leave Pat Fryermuth the move blocking more rather than showcasing his greatness? Guy is a dog. No, I don't think so. Sport 8. What I'm hoping is going to happen is what you saw. Which game was that? Well, you saw a little bit of it. A couple passes to him in this game. But remember the Jags game? Remember how Kenny Pickett saw the blitz coming, saw the pressure coming, and he hit Muth? I think what you do is maybe you put him out in put him out on routes more, and maybe get some short intermediate stuff over the middle. When you're expecting pressure to be in your face, maybe we run a few more tight end screens and things like that. However, it could happen, but I think, the Steelers primarily use their tight ends for run blocking. You know what I mean? So I don't know if we'll see much of a change in terms of passing. If we have to, maybe we'll use him to chip. And also, you're going to rely on your back. So I don't think we'll see too much of that, but maybe. Everything is on the table at this point. I'm going to go back to Walter's comment real quick. He says, where was it? He says, Kendrick must have something on Coach Tomlin or Khan. How else does he make the cut? I'm going to be honest with y'all, man. This is where the business side comes into play. You know why he makes the cut? Because he was a 3rd-round draft pick. And this is only year 2. And, I don't think many organizations are willing to admit that they may have missed. And what you do is you slowly allow them to be replaced, right? Because here's the reality. Kendrick Green is not a starter. But I hate to say this, guys, because I know what y'all are going to say, and I partly agree. But if one of the guards go down, is it better to have somebody like that, the devil and work around it, or run a risk of, because there's not a lot of offensive linemen out there. Now I thought maybe Lagu might have played better than Kendrick Green, so that's a question for the staff. But I think that's the answer. It's because he was a 3rd-round pick last season. They're not gonna cut ties that quick. I think that's really what it boils down to. So let's see. Let's move right on back up. Defensive line: Montravius Adams, Larry Ogunjobi, Isaiah Loudermilk, Tyson Alualu, Chris Wormley, Cameron Haywood, Big Cam, and DeMarvin Leal. I'm going to be honest, man. That's a pretty solid group right there. I'm not being biased as a Steelers fan. That is a solid group right there. Adams is a rotation guy that showed a little pop last year. Maybe not a starter, but, having a guy like Alualu in his corner and Ogunjobi, that could help him excel. And then Larry I already told y'all what I think he's going to be. I think Loudermilk is going to improve. Alu just needs to be what Alu is. Even though he's older in age, he still can be his sturdy self. If Chris Wormley can play to the level that he played last year, we're in good shape. There's nothing I have to say about Cam Haywood. Come on. There is no need, right? And DeMarvin Leal showed some flash. So that's a solid group. That is a solid group of 6 right there. Well, 7. Yeah, that's 7 guys. Excuse me. Solid group. Linebackers. And they just have it as linebackers here, but, I will basically give you the designation as far as what they are. Robert Spillane, inside backer. Derek Tuska, edge. Miles Jack, inside backer. Devin Bush, inside backer. Alex Highsmith, edge. TJ Watt, edge. Mark Robinson, inside backer. And Malik Reed, edge. So we now have, let's count them here. TJ Highsmith, Tuska, that's 4. Spillane, Jack, Bush, and Robinson. So we have 4 and 4. That's very interesting. So they trimmed a little bit of fat here. They trimmed a little bit of fat there. A lot of times, if you guys pay attention, the Steelers a lot of times keep 9 total backers, because there's usually a flip-flop between 4 inside guys and 5 outside guys, or 5 inside guys, 4 outside guys. They only kept 8. I think that's where the fat was trimmed to allow them to get a 7th receiver, which we're going to get to. Cornerbacks: Cam Sutton, Keller Witherspoon, Levi Wallace, Arthur Marlette, James Pierre. Yeah. Yeah. Let's hope none of these guys go down, because not a lot of help there. Pierre is hit or miss. Marlette is more of your run support guy, but I'm looking right now at only 4 guys that have coverage capability, and one of them being streaky in a James Pierre. So cornerback group is definitely not powerful. It's not powerful at all. So expect the Steelers to go after somewhat of a, I won't say marquee, because I think there may be a higher position, left tackle. That's more important in the draft. But cornerback needs to be on the mind of the Steelers, whether it's another free agent or a draft. So, yeah. Safeties. I'll get to the safeties in just a moment. We got a donation from my man, Carmichael Guru. Appreciate that. Round of applause. Y'all hear that bang? The cup fell off of my desk. He says they kept 3 quarterbacks, 7 DLs. So it was destined to be surprise cuts. Yeah. And I don't think, honestly, the 3 quarterbacks wasn't that big of a, the Steelers always keep 3. That's not a huge surprise, but I get your point in theory. There was definitely destined to be some surprise cuts with not only 7 DLs, but 7 wide receivers. So, yeah. Safeties, Trey Norwood, Damani Casey, Miles Killebrew, Terrell Edmonds, and Minkah Fitzpatrick. I think everybody could have expected that group for the most part. Special teams, we already know. Harvin, Boswell, and Kuntz. And now, the most controversial wide receiver. Steelers currently have 7 wide receivers on their roster. Chase Claypool, Miles Boykin, George Pickens, Deontay Johnson, Calvin Austin, Steven Sims, and Gunnar Olszewski. Am I saying his name correctly? I hope I'm saying his name correctly. But, hey, man, I didn't expect this. I was trying to figure out who would be the 6th guy. We've talked about that the last couple of weeks, if they kept 6, because sometimes they keep 7. Sometimes they keep 5. Did not expect them to keep 7. Build His Life says, he says he would have cut Gunnar. You know what? I think he made it tough for them to cut Build His Life. Gunnar, man, he played hard out there. He played hard out there. He played hard out there, and he's probably going to be your return guy. He has to be your return guy because, Calvin Austin didn't really get that opportunity. We didn't really see Steven Sims get kick return opportunity, punt return. And I think maybe he did limited kick returns, but if I remember correctly, McFarland was doing that. It was Gunnar and McFarland. So I think also Gunnar showing what he could possibly be in the receiver game, jet sweeps, and just some of the plays he made in the slot made it tough to cut him, as well as Steven Sims. If you guys noticed again in this last game, the Steelers kind of, if you really pay attention to it, they kind of showed us which way they were going. Gunnar and Steven Sims was getting quite a bit of action in that game against the Lions. I definitely still wouldn't have called 7, but clearly you see that all of these guys may get utilized. So this might be an offense where we're just throwing guys out there, rotating guys in and out, and they all can do what they're capable of doing. So interesting, but I definitely didn't call 7. I'm not mad at them keeping Gunnar at all. If I had to choose between him and somebody else, maybe, I could see the argument to not keep him, but I'm not upset at all. I'm not surprised that the Steelers did actually keep the kid, man. As he looked pretty good, man. So, yeah. That's all I got. That's all I got. So, right now, guys, I'm going to spend a few more minutes with you guys in the chat. Give me whatever it is you want to highlight. You want to make sure I see your comment. Of course, if, like the others, they donated, so that flashes up. Not saying you have to do that. I'm just saying you want to guarantee I read your comment. Other than that, go ahead and just, throw your stuff in the chat, man. We'll spend a little bit of time here. I don't really have much more to say outside of, this is the initial. This is the initial 53. There's no telling what happens from here. There's no telling. There's no telling. There could be another guy or two that ends up on this roster. So we shall see. Somebody said, who's that? Juan Rangel said, will Buddy Johnson get picked up on waivers? I mean, it's possible. It's possible if somebody wants a backup guy. I don't think he did enough to where he's in high demand. Don't know too much about, I mean, again, I know Malik Reed, but I actually have to get in the film room and watch these guys, man, to hone in on them. I can only assume that the Steelers feel like both Jesse Davis and Malik Reed are going to help us to some capacity. They obviously feel like Reed is an upgrade as far as the additional outside linebacker with them keeping 4. And, you know, I feel like Jesse Davis is going to have a spot on this team, man, as far as early. You know what I mean? I have a feeling that they did that purposely. Said Malik Reed strip sacked Ben. Yeah, I just know that he's a younger guy. You know, I've seen him play a little bit, but like I said, it's hard for me to know. Again, I'm not a highlight watcher. You know, guys can force me to watch their highlights, like if they just balling out of control and they just popping off the screen everywhere. But when I say I'm not a highlight watcher, I don't just look at the highlights to know how good a player is or isn't. Because again, TJ Watt doesn't get a sack every single play, right? There's plays that he gets blocked well. You know, Aaron Donald doesn't get a sack every single play. But we all know those two guys are beasts if you watch the entire totality of what they're doing. So that's what I mean when I say I don't know what these guys are from that capacity. I've never just watched Reed. I've never just watched only Davis. So I definitely got to do my homework to figure out what these guys are. Got 2 weeks to do it, right? Next week, like I said, we'll do a still table with my guy Kenyon and Tony, if Tony is available. And, you know, maybe we'll have a little bit of that to talk about. Y Diggy says, so if they put Casey and Austin on IR, I would expect a couple of moves. I would say another offensive line and edge would be my choices. Yeah, and it's very interesting. See, keep an eye on that too, guys. That IR is important because that means we're going to free up a spot, but then guys are going to have to get cut later on. So when you look at some of these positions, like the 7th wide receiver or the 7th D lineman, you know, it kind of makes you wonder where would they cut bait if they have to. So don't get so stuck on the 53 today because things could definitely change. Round of applause to Keith Barnaby. Appreciate the donation. It's a good question. He says, if there's one person on this 53 you would trade, who would it be? He says, hence, Claypool, Mason Rudolph, Cough. Thanks. Stay dangerous, brother. I appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. Salutes to you. I'm going to take one of those names. Mason Rudolph would be the guy. I'm not ready to let go of Chase Claypool, folks. Chase Claypool could very well be the Juju Smith-Schuster to the Antonio Brown. Think about what I'm saying. When Juju was cooking, where was he at? In the slot. Juju was very effective in the slot. Juju used his body a lot. Juju was considered a big slot. Claypool is bigger. Now, Claypool is going to have to definitely, you know, I'm not willing to say that he is as crafty as Juju was or polished, but Claypool could be a serious problem in there. Just think about it. I mean, I ain't even got to go for a while because I gave you all an idea on that a long time ago of what I would do just to mess with a defense. But just think about a simple 11 personnel. You got the big slot inside in Claypool. You got Pickens and Deontay on the outside. Just the sheer threat of what that could be. And Muth. Just the threat of what that could possibly be is the reason why you don't do anything with Claypool right now. No way. Sit tight. Because what? He's in his 3rd year, right? He's in his 3rd year. Sit tight. There's no reason to move Claypool today. Because the question is, what are you moving him for? That's the question. What you getting for him? I'm not moving Chase Claypool this season for a pick. Nah, I ain't doing that. I ain't doing that. Not doing that. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. Trust me, Claypool might eat inside, man. He's going to eat. We'll see. We'll see. What else y'all got? Robert Westover says, at 2nd and 15, you don't call a run. That starts 5 yards in the backfield. Yeah. I'm with you. So I think what you're saying is you got some questions and concerns about Matt Canada. Because Debbie replied to you. Let's read what Debbie said. This was before this last text here from Robert. But Debbie says, Robert, I don't see too many sweeps early in the season. It should be simple fundamental plays to get this O-line intact. We'll need the tight ends to help, so no fancy stuff. And that could be good too. Think about this, guys. What have I been saying during the preseason? I kept saying that one thing that you're going to see for sure with this season and early, you're going to see this pocket on the move. You're going to see a lot of boots, play actions, sprint outs. You're going to see them, right? And part of that is going to be, I think, obviously scheme, but another part of it is you run those plays to help out the offensive line. So Debbie makes a good point there. We might not see, Matt Canada get as cute as he wants to because of the offensive line. However, there are little intricate details that have changed. Again, play action, boots, sprint outs. How many sprint outs? You saw it here and there. Like very rare last year with Ben, but you're not going to see it as much. We saw it more in preseason than we have seen it in the last 6 years, right? It just gives you different options, and those are the little detailed, minute things that Canada is bringing to the offense. So it's not always the flash, real flash that you can see. Oh, that's different. It's still just changing a couple things here, and then we also have to keep in mind the offensive line might not allow them to do everything they want to do. Carmichael, man, appreciate you. Another donation. Round of applause. He says, I love our overall 53, man, and everybody on it except number 53. But it's looking bright. I feel you, man. At this point, I don't think any of us disagree with Kendrick Green, man. Poor fella, man. Poor guy. My man Marlon, what's up, Marlon? Marlon said, also, you got to remember Claypool didn't exactly play with Big Ben in his prime. That is a fact. That is a fact. Dr. Trey88 says, what's your defense for Tomlin playing the starter so late in the last preseason game? I'm glad you brought that up. That's a great question, Dr. Trey88. Let me say this. Whatever side of the fence you guys are on, I'm not going to coax you to go the other way. For Mike Tomlin or any coach that has done that. But let's just stick with the Steelers. I've never really been the type that get all up in arms over injuries that happen in game and try to justify it because the player was in the game longer than he was supposed to be. I just don't. That is not a defense for Mike Tomlin. That's my general opinion. Remember, we were told earlier in the week that the Lions were going to play their starters the majority of the time. Mike Tomlin kind of countered that and said, yeah, we think we're going to play our guys. So they kind of used that as the tune-up game. So in recent years, when there's a tune-up game, you see starters a whole half. Sometimes you see starters play in the third quarter. Have we not seen that? So that's been my opinion since people were making that narrative on Twitter. It is, dog. A guy can get hurt on the first play. Carl Joseph went down on a kickoff in one of them games. Injuries happen. Now, I get it when people say, man, okay, perfect example. what happened with TJ in this game, I'm just putting it in the proper context because I'm a Sixer fan. Joel Embiid probably shouldn't have been in the game when he got the orbital fracture. We were up by like 25 or whatever in the fourth. That is more, why is he still in the game versus TJ Watt being in the game in the first and second quarter of a tune-up game. Just my opinion. Like I said, that is not a defense for Tomlin. I'm just giving you my general opinion. Injuries happen. Zach Wilson got hurt early in the game. You know what I mean? They happen. You can't. That's our emotion talking. That's our emotion saying that, because I've been there too. But you can never predict these things, man. It's just my opinion. Round of applause to Mr. Covington Sr. and Kev So Fun. Both of you giving me a donation, man. Y'all are too kind. Thank you so much for it. Round of applause. Mr. Covington says, based on who we have on the D-line, do you believe our run defense will be better this year? It's time for Claypool to step up because of Pickens. Absolutely. That last part, I agree with you. Claypool's peeking on. He doing this. He peeking over his shoulder. He see what time it is. Yes, I do. And I think it starts with Larry O and then Miles Jack. I think our run defense will be better this year. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that today. We'll see if that transpires into truth. But I absolutely think adding a guy like Ogunjobi along with Cam when we're in sub, it makes us more formidable against the run. Having Alu back in base, having Miles Jack, yes, I think our run defense improves. I do. I really do. So we shall see. Kev So Fun says, Sim, how's it going? What's your review on both trades? Hard for me to give a review on it, man. Kev So Fun, and again, not to toot my own horn, but I think that's what makes me who I am, and maybe why you guys respect what I do, is because I'm not going to be like some of the media or some of these other podcasts, whatever, and they're giving these grades. I'm going to be honest in saying I don't have enough information to know. I literally need to watch these guys. I am going to watch them. So by the time we come on next week and do the Steel Table, then I'll be able to give you my assessment on the grades. But right now, I would be lying if I went in and said, they're great. And I would definitely be lying if I said they were bad. Because I don't know. I just do know. I've seen Reed play a little. Just I haven't completely watched him. But, he seems to be a fairly decent, talented, young edge. So we'll see. But as far as Davis, I've seen his name before. So apparently he was a starter. But I haven't watched their film or their game to, you know what I mean? So I'm not going to sit here and try to blow any type of smoke up you guys, you know what, one way or the other. Let's take a couple more, man, and then I'm up out of here. Julian Walleye says, again, surprised with Lane, but not disappointed. McFarland and Lane have had several years to get together. Glad Tomlin kept some of this new blood and gave them a shot. I can fully agree with that. I fully agree with that. They've had their time, man. I mean, it's unfortunate, because guys, we're fans, right? So when guys stay on the team longer than a year, you kind of grow to know them. So it is always sad to see when guys get cut and stuff, man. But it's a business. You know what I mean? And injuries played a part of it for sure with McFarland. And it just is what it is. Think about, remember Sinquest Golson? How sad that was that we never really got to see that kid play. So it is what it is, man. I like that, Deb. Debbie says, actually, grades are irrelevant most of the time. So they're subjective. She's right. But it's definitely unfortunate with those kids, man. I'm not as disappointed about Lane because we knew that was a project. So let me put my true feelings out there. It's sad to see him go because he was around long enough, but I knew he was a project from the get-go. So I'm not overly surprised that he didn't stick. McFarland to me is my disappointment because of what that kid showed that he could be in terms of his speed and his shiftiness, and just imagining having that type of back complement Najee and being able to be in a system with a coach who coached you and a Matt Canada. I was just getting excited by what this guy was, what this guy could have been, and it never materialized. So if out of the two of those guys, if I have a disappointment, it would be McFarland more so than Justin Lane. All right, I'm going to take one more of these guys. Somebody give me something. Yeah, that is true. Ike Taylor he accepted position? Yeah, I think he's taking a scouting position. So yeah, maybe Ike might be able to help him draft some DBs. Give me another one. Give me another one, guys. Somebody give me another one. Uh-oh. Nepotism hire. Who you talking about, Debbie? Let me see. Oh, she talking about Ike. Yeah. All right, give me another one. Then I'm going to shut her down. Here we go. Real facts. Last one of the night. He says, Austin will probably provide you what you were hoping for when it comes to McFarland. You might be right. You might be right. Even though Austin, technically he's not a running back, but I understand what you're saying in terms of what he can give you physically with the ball in his hand. So, yeah, you might be right. You're right. You might be right. The busser. Yeah, man. Got to speak on that really quick as Tony snuck that one in. Man, I hope Mark Robinson can develop, man. I really do, because I really wish we could have seen him with Miles Jack. Oh, because I, for one, said I didn't think Mark Robinson played as well against the Lions. And it's not to say that he played bad. He didn't jump off of the screen like he did in the Jags game. Made a couple, had a couple decent moments, but big special teams tackle. But I wanted to see him with Miles Jack because of the way Jack plays. Miles Jack would probably free him up. Because Miles Jack, I've seen it in consecutive games now where he dips under the block and gets into the gap and he's there for the tackle. So with him doing that, he would probably free up Mark Robinson to be able to roam and use his speed. That's why I wanted to see that combination, but we didn't see it. But I hope that he develops, man. I think the Steelers might have a steal in him. Again, kind of reminds me of Vince Williams, man, like his path and his trajectory. And I think, Robinson plays faster. And what I mean by faster, not just talk about speed, I'm talking about he will play faster than when Vince Williams finally played. I think he gets an opportunity quick. We might see some meaningful snaps from him this season. But he has to develop. And I think I saw a quote. I didn't hear the article or read the article myself. I'm going to do that. But I saw a little, snippet of saying Terrell Austin saying that he's going to have to, basically play more, get more reps before he's able to play. I'm cool with that. But I think they messed around and got them one, man. I think Robinson could be one of those dudes, one of those quote-unquote projects that's going to pay off. So that's going to be exciting to see. Black Rain, appreciate the donation. Round of applause. I'm with you. It says low-key issue to keep an eye on is third down defense. Yeah, I'm with you there. Definitely. Because listen, we gave up a 3rd and 17 to a draw. I get it. The idea is for you to think pass and, the team runs on. I get it, but I ain't trying to have that happen no more. Not on no regular rate. Now, again, overall, I think the first team defense played a pretty solid game. Solid half. However, like you said, and I like the way you phrased that, low-key issue. So it's something to keep your eye on to see if this continues to be a thing. And, again, it's the NFL. Teams are going to convert on you. But I'm just more talking about those third and longs and the overall percentage of that as the season goes on. I don't want it to be where we're like 30, 40% on third down defense. Nah. We need to be in that high efficiency plus 70%. Something like that. Again, teams are going to get it. You're going to lose some games. Some teams are going to be able to convert third downs. But hopefully, and I don't know, 70% could be high. But y'all know what I'm saying. We need to be I would prefer us to be in the top 10, at least in the league, of getting off the field on third down. That would make me feel a lot better. But all right, man, that's going to do it. That is going to do it for tonight. Next week, Steel Table Conversation, man, with Kenyon and Tony. Or it could just be Kenyon. I know sometimes, Tony's schedule doesn't always permit. So either way, we will talk about the team thus far, what we're expecting from the team, and, our early expectations of what we might be expecting in week 1. And then the following week, after the game, that's when the phone calls will be back in effect. But be on the lookout for both the pre-show game and always post-show game. The post-show. I don't know why I said pro-show game. Y'all can tell I'm tired, right? I said that earlier. Y'all can tell. Be on the lookout for pre-show, pre-game show. And post-game show. Lord, man, I see. That's why I got to sign off. But anyway, man, appreciate y'all coming through. Going to remind you guys to do that for me right there. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you turn on your notifications. And outside of that, man, I hope you guys stay well, stay safe. God bless. I guess I won't be speaking to you guys before the holiday weekend, so be safe out there, man. Have yourselves a good time, but definitely please be safe. If there's anything important to talk about, a trade or another pickup or something like that, I will do an independent show during the week and we'll talk about that. But outside of that, more than likely see you again on Tuesday. And like I said, stay safe out there. God bless. Good night. And I thank you for tuning in to another episode of Terrible Towel Tuesday. Peace.